I am Alpha, Omega. You are Yahweh, Alpha, Omega.
Eben, thanks for joining us on the convo.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we meet again.
Yeah.
I think that was at your listening party.
Exactly.
So, how has the come up been? How did you get introduced into music?
Well, I think I pretty much, it was just when I got born again. I went to church with my friends and they just asked me to sing.
Yes.
I was not planning to be a singer or anything, but the pastor saw us that day, like 5 of us, and was like, okay, you're going to sing, you're going to share something you studied, and then it's only one song that I was listening to by Maurice Chapman and the Imaranma singers. So that was the only song I could think of that minute. And the moment I started singing, everybody was, the whole hall was agog. Like people were screaming, wow. I was literally shaking like this because it was not my plan.
You didn't anticipate it.
Yeah, it was never my plan to do music or be a music minister. I was just learning the songs for my personal devotion. And that's how I got it.
You know, normally some people say they began from the church choir and all that. So you are never in the church choir.
No. This thing I'm telling you was the teenagers church. So after that day, the pastor just kind of like, okay, those of you who can sing, we need to have a choir. So those of you who can sing, put yourself together, we need to have a choir for the teenagers church. So that's how I joined the choir, and everything began from that whole experience. We got instructors, the pastor got us, the church got us instructors, music instructors and everything to put us through. So that's how it began for me.
At what point did you say, oh, I'll take this as a career, as a profession?
Okay, I got, just, because I was always in the choir for programs in the church, I had the privilege of being part of many seminars that the church was having on purpose, on prosperity, on things like that. So one of those seminars was centered around purpose in life, So by the end of that convention, it became clear to me that this was not just my hobby or what I just enjoyed doing. This was God's plan for my life. How I dabbled into it, how I discovered it, all now began to make sense. And I said, wow, and then from my relationship with God, it was easy to now really know the mind of God, that this was more than a hobby. This was an assignment.
So, can you remember the first track you put out professional?
The first track I put out, man, before I came out like a solo act, we were in a group, me and my friend, we were called E-Double.
E-Double, yes. What does it stand for?
our initials, my E, his own E, and then instead of double E, we called it E double. So, so we did a recording. Took us a long time, a lot of sweat and tears and blood, and that one came out and it didn't do so good. It didn't do so good, but it helped me to see that I was not. It was God's plan was not a collaborate like a group thing.
It was an individual.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So I saw that in the group my drive was more than everybody's drive. No offense, but you know, I knew I was on assignment. I was not guessing about this thing. You know, so I said no. Let me not slow these guys down. I excused myself. You know, I told them, guys, this thing is more than hobby for me. This is an assignment for my life. So, and that was how I went and we started recording. And the first major one that I recorded was Iwo Nikan. Yes, I did it at the convention by, you know, in the stadium with Lovewood Campus Fellowship. It was amazing, and my pastor loved it, and that's how we began. So
which record will you describe as your breakthrough record?
I think it would be On the Rock. That was the first one that the whole concept of that album was a summation of all my musical journey, rehearsals, being part of other people's recording, finding myself. So On the Rock was really inspired, me being inspired by God to put out something that was out of the box. And as soon as it hit ground, pow, it was all over the place. On the Rock was, on that album, you had Iwo Nikan, you had Imaranma, you had God Day, you had Adonhama, you had so many songs that were just like pa 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 pa. So
which year was that?
2006, if I'm not mistaken.
You spoke about the track Adonhama.
Yeah.
Like, is that what inspired the name of your label?
Hammer House. Yes, it is, because, you know, growing up street and all that, in pidgin English, you know, when you say somebody don't hammer, it means he's successful.
Yes.
So I always wanted to let people really be relatable with my message and the music, you know, with the message God has given me. Using local parlance once in a while to just really buttress what I was saying was always a key at the time. So that's where Hammer House. Say you're wondering, the Hammer means success, in other words.
So do you have acts signed to your label?
Yes, I do. One of them is my lovely wife, Jadelle, and we're considering a few other guys. You know, they're in the pipeline. But it's a whole lot of work, working on your brand as an artist and as a music person, and then working on another artist. You know, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. So we're taking our time. We're not rushing. We plan doing singles for some of these guys, and pretty soon we'll be out here.
Since you started the journey, have you ever been pressured to go into the secular music, into making secular music?
Not at all. I've never been pressured, because I think God found me early, and He helped me to get a solid foundation about what I was doing. I've never been pressured like, oh, I wish. It's like somebody who is alive and wishing he was dead.
Sure.
It's no, when you receive the life of God, unless maybe you're just playing church, but if that life is in you, nothing compares to that life. The joy that life brings, the satisfaction that life brings, the fulfillment that life brings, you can't pass it up for something inferior. So I've never, and it was not about money. If you hear me say fulfillment, joy, you know, satisfaction, money can buy those things. You know, so that's why I've never been pressured at all.
Okay. So what's your creative process like?
It's a whole lot. It's not too many though, but just being in the zone, being conscious that I'm on assignment, just knowing that this is not about me trying to make a name for myself. And once that is in check, you begin to now find words, the right words to express that position begins to come to your spirit, come to your mind. If there's anything you want to talk about, you now start talking from that consciousness that you are not just a human being, you are a God man, you know. So it begins from that awareness, and then I have a fantastic team of smart musicians around me, you know. So I bring an idea and one or two persons begins to say, okay, why don't we tweak this? Why don't we tweak this? Or an idea can even start from one of a member of the team, like, oh, I'm thinking we don't have something like this. Why don't we do something like this? Why don't we do? I'm very, very big on counsel. I'm not opinionated. I always
you listen to
yes, I listen a lot. Even to my kids. When I'm creating music, sometimes I just play it and I just get their reaction. As young as they are, their reaction is a lot of message for me. Sometimes I just play it out for my staff in the house. I check
how they react to
yeah, so it's a bit of so many things that comes into decision. Okay, this song should go out, this is ready.
Okay, but what's that the central message you try to put out whenever you put the music?
Central message is a relationship with God through Jesus our Lord. Everything we're here to do, he said we should go into the world and preach the gospel. They need to know what Jesus has done.
Sure.
It was so important to him that it was not about saving us alone. If it was just about salvation, we could have been saved and just teleported to heaven. But it was important to Jesus that people knew that he had paid the price. So he commissioned everyone who believed on him and said, go into the world and teach them, tell them, you know, that sin shall not have dominion over them, that it is finished, you know. So that's the core message. Everything about, so when you meet my music, when you encounter my music, you experience somebody who's in a relationship that is not just ordinary, you know. So you need those things around my sound, my lyrics, you must feel that atmosphere. You must feel like, okay, there is a relationship that this person is in, and that's what inspires the words, the sound, the message, and everything about it.
Talking about sound, what will you describe your style of music as?
I can describe it as a coat of many colors. Because I mean, I'm just blessed like that. You know, there are guys that, man, if it's not reggae, they're not singing.
Yes.
There's some guys, if it's not a slow ballad song, they are not singing. There's some guys, if it's not jumpy, you've lost them. They can't even worry. They can't do a slow song. It's like, this is not my area. But I discovered that I'm able to do all these things. I can do a slow song. I can do a fast upbeat song. I can do a reggae song. I can express myself in a rock sound. And you're wondering, is this guy Nigerian or is he?
I understand.
So coat of many colors.
So who will you describe as your greatest musical inspiration?
Funny enough, it's not gospel. But that would be Michael Bolton and Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams.
These two guys, like, till today, you know, I hear this when when they express, it's very believable. I don't know about their latest albums and all that, but those classics that they do have, Michael Bolton, Bryan Adams, gets me every time. You know, many years ago, during this early stage, I was trying to finding myself. We used to go to all-night meetings like Friday night and then come back on Saturday. So pretty much Saturday morning, you are just sleeping into 12 noon. And then there's this radio station there's a program on radio, straight from the heart. Okay. It always comes on around 10 or thereabout. That's what wakes me up every Saturday. I can't stop dreaming like that. As long as you're gone, we may as well pretend I've been dreaming. It's not Bryan Adams. I think it's Smoking Awful or somebody like that. But you see the relationship with the vocal expression, and I'm you know, I'm like, what? It just blesses my heart. Like, look at, see voice, you know. Sure. So it's those guys been.
So do you play any musical instruments?
Oh yes, I play the guitar. I'm not a professional, but I can work it.
Your last album, Victory.
Yeah.
Can you give us a rundown of the project?
Man, Victory is it's a huge blessing, because at some point I was like, I need something that really can top all the way, you know. I had All the Way, I had God Day, and We Go the Hill was all over. For a while I said, I need something that has to match up that song or even do better. So I kept thinking, working on thinking. So like I told you, my creative process, I get a lot of creative guys, you know. And then I was with this particular producer on the day, and we're like, man, I need something that so we started off from a particular song that we wanted to remix, and this guy's like, okay, I'm hearing something like this, and I'm like, okay. So when we were done, I said, man, we just made a hit. So I started talking on Facebook and on Instagram at the time, on Twitter. I'm like, man, this 2015, right? I'm like, Victory is the biggest song.
No, Victory is 2018.
Yeah, like when I wrote the song.
Okay.
So I wrote that song 2015 into 2016. It was until 2 years later, it picked up in Nigeria. But in the diaspora, man, I was going to some nations like I'd never been before. Like I was going to some of these Eastern African countries, like on that song. You know, so 2018, we made it official, and then we put in so many classic worship songs and every other song in it.
You have a new one now, The Harvest.
Hey, yes, sir.
So,
The harvest.
What are we harvesting?
I mean, we are harvesting many good things. You know, like I told them in the listening party, 2020 was rough for so many people, you know, for obvious reasons. People were just locked down, shut down like that, except for social media and whatnot. Everybody was just stationed in one place. But I heard God. When I got the opportunity to put the album together, I said, what do I call this album? Then I remembered that there's a track on this album that's called The Harvest. I'm like, oh, so after all the hardship, it's time to harvest. And it speaks for itself. It's such a great album. I'm so excited about it. And most of the tracks came from our live recording in 2019. So
how long did it take you to make the album?
Like 4 years, because like I told you,
4 years. So it means after Victory, you just started working on this. Yeah,
you work randomly. Just, you know, you never know. You just keep putting out stuff. Like right now, I have rehearsals tonight. You never know what comes out of there too. So you just keep putting these things out, just keeping them. So inspiration, you don't want to wait too long on inspirations. You need to record. You need to keep it down and go to the next one. So, and then sometimes when you allow it to like, it's like when you there's some particular herbal tea you allow it to sip.
Yeah.
To
Stay
steep.
long.
Yeah, my wife calls it steep. So you allow the condiment in the tea
flavor.
to really, you know, when it stays like that, you don't just put it and just drink. No, you allow it to sip, to steep. So I believe in allow the thing to creative process to really think through. Sometimes some ideas that are banging in your head, like ah, after a while, you're like, what was I shouting about on this one color? You know, so that's why I take my time like that.
So what do you want fans to expect of the project?
They should expect to experience God from listening and and watching, the videos from this project, because it came from that place of devotion, really, really deep devotion. There are tracks on that album that gets me to cry, like I just listen, like when I listen to Yahweh, I'm like, oh God. I featured Berry, one of my singers, and she just was on fire on that track. And then there's this one, oh, I will bless your name, oh God. So, and then there's a rock song on that album also. One or two. People will never expect that kind of sound anymore, but it's all up in there.
So how many tracks does the album have?
That's 10 of them.
And what about collaborations?
I think we had just one collaboration. Yeah.
So what's the message in the album?
The message in the album is the harvest is here. There's a track on the album called 10 in 1. It means that what took others 10 years, you're gonna get it in one. So a lot of prophecy, a lot of positive confession, a lot of aligning your thoughts with what God has already done. So it's a whole buffet,
of different sounds.
Yeah, of different sounds and experience, man. It's amazing.
So when should we be expecting it?
I think in the next 1 or 2 weeks it should be out exclusively on Boomplay. Exclusively before it goes out there. So you might wanna just hit Boomplay and stream. I promise you'll be so blessed. You'll be so blessed.
Okay, so what's that departing words for your fans?
Well, stay conscious that you have the life of God in you. Christianity is not a religion. It's God alive in a man, and it makes a whole lot of difference. I mean, that's why Jesus could walk on water. So stay positive, right? There is nothing you're going through that is a surprise to God. There's nothing you're going through that is a surprise to God. So if you know, he said there's no temptation that has come upon you but such as is common to man. I mean, that scripture just made sense in 2020. So nobody could escape from Nigeria and run to America and say, COVID is in Nigeria, let's go to America. It was everywhere.
Sure.
Such as is common to man, for God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can handle. So we are bigger than every temptation that comes our way. Stay strong, oh. Don't lose heart. Don't allow depression to finish you. Stay strong. You win. You're a winner. Peace.